Thank you very much. Good morning. And thank you very much for inviting us to the festival. We really believe that the carbon economy is an unprecedented opportunity for companies and brands to create value. We think it captures a new way of thinking about production. It's the first time that we see a way of expressing economy in a way which is not about a logic in which the bigger the hammer, the better. It's the first time we see a description of the economy as something that needs to be really taken care of and used in a rational way. When we think and we've been reviewing what's been done around environmentalism and communications, it seems that communications tend to be like trying to communicate to people who are sensitive about this topic, trying to communicate to hippies, using unicorns, using trolls, using a sort of way of talking to people who doesn't exist, I would say. But we believe that at the heart of the carbon economy debate, what we have is a discussion about a new consensus, a new worldwide economic consensus. We are moving away from the Washington consensus that's been driving economy for the last 30 years, and we are moving into a new economy. We don't know if we are going to be seeing a new Beijing consensus on how the economy should be handled, or perhaps a Valencia consensus, but things are really changing. And we believe that in this context, communicating is going to be very different from the past.
We are Greenpeace. This is Greenpeace. This is peaceful protest. Hello. This is Greenpeace, peaceful protest. Politicians are. Neither act. Politicians are. Neither act. This is a peaceful protest from Greenpeace. We are here to protest because we think politicians, they have to talk, they have to act now.
So in this video, we see how happily politicians are acting. I think that the message, the metaphor around this video is that what we're really discussing nowadays is a new leadership for the economy. It's not only about marketing or production systems. It's a moment in which we are going to see a definition of who's going to be leading the economy for the next years to come. And then I'd like to use another video to express a little bit what we think, what most companies are doing with this leadership opportunity. What are they really doing? How far are they going?
Some people have a deep, abiding respect for the natural beauty that was once this country. And some people don't. People start pollution. People can stop it.
And we believe that this mentality of talking to strange people has been around for almost 35 years. This is a campaign from 1974. At the center of the campaign was a Native American, which is less than 1% of the US population. And we think that this logic has been trying to be pushed, like doing push in marketing and push communications to aliens, to people who are very far away from us, and we can throw the dirt to them and they just cry. So it's very strange, it's very paradox. It's a paradox for us, because what we see from different studies that we do is that people are really concerned about a new carbon economy, climate change, and sustainability. This is from a study that we ran 3 years ago about the potential impact of climate change. The yellow part of all the pies are the percentage of the population which represents eco-absorbed people who really care about this topic. And you see there's a large part of the population who's really worried about climate change, in this case, and especially in the emerging countries, especially in the emerging economies countries, where it seems that the future of the economy is going to be. So everything was pointing out that there was a big opportunity there, that people were, when we asked them, they were telling us that they were already doing things in order to fight the negative effects of climate change, that they were conserving energy, reducing waste, recycling, and that they had the power also to purchase or not to purchase products from companies which are fighting against the negative consequences of climate change. That they preferred to buy and to get in contact, to get in connection, to have a relationship with companies who are really working on this topic, and that they were ready also to pay a fair price. But in any case, it seems that it's taking too long to make this opportunity come true for most of the companies. We believe that there's still a potential for creating what we would call an eco-cycle, a positive circle of value creation around rethinking how to use hard resources, how to use physical inputs in a different way on one side, and on the other side using soft resources to engage the population, to engage the people, the customers, to recycle, to revise, to conserve knowledge, ideas, connections, and culture around climate change and sustainability. We believe that in the future, most companies will be competing not only on value creation, but also on minimizing the cost of destruction that they are doing. And at the end game of all this battle, we see that the scarcity of resources is going to push the agenda for a new way of connecting with people. So this was about climate change and green marketing. When we start listening to people, we see that people, of course, really care about other issues beyond environment, which is still an important issue for them. But they also worried about the social impact of what companies are doing, and of course the economic impact of the relationship with companies. And they are really looking for a new relationship with corporations. They say that they respect responsible companies, responsible in terms of being sustainable. They believe that large companies should be involved. They should be leading this movement towards sustainability. They say that they see that most companies are responsible only to improve their image. They see that there's not enough being done by companies, and they see a very small role for governments into this issue. So again, this is opening a huge opportunity for companies that are taking the lead in this subject. There's a very recent McKinsey report which is studying the same issue from the corporate perspective, and what we see is that only 30% of executives are actively investing in sustainability. The basic engagement for companies, it comes from the CEO agenda, so it's a little bit strange, I would say. It's all about corporate reputation, and it's being communicated through CSR reports. And consumers, of course, don't care a lot or at all about these CSR reports. So there's a huge disconnection between what corporations are doing and this really new way of consumers and people looking for the relationship with companies. And we believe that at this new relationship, sustainability should be at the center. And should be at the center in a way in which companies can articulate all the capitals that they can use to relate with society in the form of social capital, human, manufacturer, financial, and natural. Of course, there are companies that already understood this new environment and are taking a huge advantage from it and are really profiting from it. We identified some of these companies like Apple, Mercadona, Starbucks, Walmart, Whole Foods, Google, Nike, Pixar, Hyundai, Kia, Nintendo, and Inditex. And these people are really behaving different. These companies are really behaving differently. They are doing something which seems quite simple, is doing meaningful stuff. Something that really creates a connection with consumers. And meaningful businesses do something very, very, very simple. These are businesses which enhance human well-being. And they enhance human well-being in terms of physical wellness, mental wellness, social, economic, or emotional wellness. And we believe that meaningful business happens when responsible produced inputs are sustainably transformed into ethically traded outputs and have tangible, positive outcomes. And the problem for most or for many businesses is that they cannot prove and cannot demonstrate positive outcomes in any of these forms to its customers. This is a description of the GDP per capita and life satisfaction. In this case, it is in Japan. Unfortunately, the flat line is the life satisfaction during the last 40 years, and in the context of a real growth of economic richness for people. So at the end, what we see, at the end, if Japan can be considered a very advanced market in terms of consumption, what we see is that at the end of this system, what we were going to have is people having more stuff, which doesn't mean anything for them. It doesn't make them happy. It has no emotional benefit for them. There are other examples. This is the obese adult population in the US. And again, you have around 25% of the population being obese. And if you take the image of all the advertising that we see around food, and you translate those images in what should be the outcome of that system, and you see this reality, you see there's a huge disconnection. No? Advertising is telling us that people should be very happy, very thin, having a fantastic family, having dogs, smiling all the time. And at the end of all this system, what we have is a population which is obese, unfortunately, and getting ill. So, what are the leaders which are creating meaningful economy doing? We believe that they are using three forces. The first one is they move from producing goods and services to betters, or goods that really prove to be good. This is an example from a US retail chain called Hannaford. It's in the northeast of the US, and these people did something very, very interesting. When you go to their store, at the point of sales, you have information about the price, as in all retail stores, and also about a star system that tells you the nutritional value of the products. So if a product has no nutritional value, it has 0 stars, and it has a high value, it has 3 stars. Okay? And they gauge this system by working with nutritionists that are part of the company. So they discovered that 70% of what they had in the rails, in some cases, it was better to eat the package than the content of the product. And they also discovered, at the same time, that those products with more stars were able to grow more. They multiplied by 3 to 5 times the level of growth that products without any stars. So what Hannaford is trying to do is not just pushing food into people's houses, but selling them or having a relationship with them about providing a whole food solution, a whole nutritional solution. The second element is they are moving for value chains. So there's a mistake here. It's value chain to value cycles. If you remember, value chains were these things that comes in books that were like little boxes, and there was an arrow at the end, and then the product disappeared. No? The leaders of the meaningful economy, what they do is value cycles. They are integrated production systems in which consumers are at the center. This is the case of Inditex. Their most famous brand is Zara. It's a Spanish company. Everything is around the experience at the store. So they have a very flexible system which is totally adapted to be able to give an answer to their store demands in a 2 weeks' time. So by having the consumers integrated completely and from the heart in the system, what they manage to do is to be able to present a new offer to their customers every 2 weeks in an industry that competes in having 2 or 3 seasons by year. So you can imagine the impact of having someone who's able to transform its business offer every 2 weeks to an industry that is able to transform its business offer every 2 or 3 times a year. The level of flexibility and adaptation that this business model has absolutely destroys their competitors, and on the bad side of this business model doesn't require any sort of advertising because you are really serving your customers on a day-to-day basis.